The galaxy was calm that night, calm in a way that made old captains nervous. Most trade lanes were quiet, most patrol routes were silent, and even the largest empires reported nothing unusual. But on the outer edge of the Orion Fringe, inside a small mining colony named Vero 7, something strange happened. It started with a noise. A soft repeating pulse. Like a heartbeat inside the void. The colony scanners picked it up first, a long-range signal that did not match any known ship or beacon. The signal was not loud, not angry, not violent. It was simply there. Slow, steady, and impossible to ignore. Inside the colony control room, Technician Ryle turned pale as the signal grew stronger. He had worked in deep space monitoring for 15 years, and he had never seen anything like it. The signal looked old, almost ancient, but it carried power far beyond anything in the outer rim. He called his supervisor, and soon the entire control room stood around his station, staring at the screen with wide eyes. The signal repeated the same words in a strange rhythm. 3 pulses, then silence. 3 pulses, then silence. It felt like a warning. Or maybe a countdown. Ryle zoomed in on the waveform, his hands shaking. This looks human, he whispered. The others stared at him as if he had spoken madness. Humans were gone, vanished centuries ago, leaving only myths and warnings behind. Everyone believed the same story. Humanity was dangerous, uncontrollable, a species from a death world that could turn entire armies into dust. But humans were extinct, and even if they weren't, no human technology had ever reached this part of the galaxy. So how could the signal be human? The colony leader ordered an emergency report sent to the Galactic Council. And within hours, the council gathered in their grand chamber, glowing with thousands of lights representing hundreds of worlds. The delegates argued loudly, some laughing, some panicking, some calling it a hoax. But one alien, Commander Rethail of the Valerian Defense Fleet, did not laugh. He listened to the pulse again and again, and his expression grew darker each time. He finally stood up, his voice echoing around the chamber. "This is not a random signal," he said. "This is a cloak resonance." The room froze. Cloak resonance was only produced by extremely advanced stealth systems, systems that could hide entire battleships from sensors. Systems that, according to old records, humans once developed in secret. The council still refused to accept it. They called the idea impossible, ridiculous, fiction. But Rethail insisted on sending a scout fleet to investigate the area around Vero 7. "If this is what I fear," he said quietly, "we cannot ignore it." So a small fleet of 8 cruisers went to the coordinates. When they arrived, they found nothing. Empty space, drifting dust, cold silence. But the scanners told a different story. The energy readings were strange, shifting, unnatural. Something massive was hiding there, something so big that the cruisers felt like insects near a sleeping predator. The flagship, VDS Horizon, slowed to a stop as its long-range sensors picked up a shadow in the nebula. It was not a shape, not a ship outline, not even a clear object. It was just a presence, a darkness that seemed to drink in light and radar waves. The crew stared at the scanners in fear. Every second, the shadow grew a little clearer, as if whatever was hiding was slowly waking up. Then Rethail received a message from his sensor chief. "Sir, I think something is trying to decloak." The entire fleet went silent. Every weapon charged at once, even though no one dared fire. Suddenly the nebula flashed white. And for a single, terrifying second, the shadow became real. A gigantic vessel appeared in the haze. A black titan made of metal and death. 10 kilometers long, silent as a grave, covered in armor that looked carved from night itself. On the front hull, one symbol glowed bright red. A human skull with a star behind it. The entire fleet froze in fear. Even the strongest captains felt their hearts stop. Everyone in that moment understood they were looking at something older, stronger, and far more dangerous than anything the galaxy had ever built. And then, just as fast, the ship vanished again, slipping back into cloak, leaving only silence behind. But before disappearing completely, the ship sent one message across the fleet. A voice, cold and emotionless, speaking in broken galactic standard. "Do not approach. This is human territory." The cruisers panicked, scattering in all directions. Some retreated instantly, some stayed frozen where they were, and some begged Rethail to order a hyperspace jump. But Rethail could not move. He understood the truth before anyone else. Humans had returned, and the galaxy was not ready. Back on the council homeworld, an emergency meeting was called. Delegates screamed, argued, and blamed each other. But one fact remained, solid and terrifying. A human warship had uncloaked, and the galaxy had no idea what would come next. Panic spread through the galaxy faster than light. The moment the human skull emblem was confirmed, every major news network, data stream, and war channel broadcast the same urgent alert. Unknown supervessel detected near the Orion fringe. Possible human technology. Council forces retreating. Fear climbed into every world like a cold shadow. In the council chamber, chaos ruled. Leaders shouted over each other, demanding answers, blaming rivals, and denying the truth. The council speaker slammed his staff on the floor, trying to restore order. But the more he shouted, the more frightened everyone became. The galaxy had grown arrogant over centuries, confident in its own power and technology. But one glimpse of that massive ship reminded them of something old, something forgotten, something they should have remembered. Humanity was not a legend. They were real. And they were back. Commander Rethail returned from the mission with a haunted expression. His ships were damaged not from attacks, but from the sheer stress of being near the human vessel. The cloaked ship bent gravity and light in ways their technology couldn't handle. Even the strongest cruisers flickered under its presence. When he stepped onto the council floor, everyone fell silent. Rethail replayed the short recording. The moment the vessel decloaked. The massive hull. The glowing skull emblem. The voice saying, "This is human territory." The chamber trembled with fear. Some delegates demanded immediate attack. Some begged to hide the information. Some wanted to send diplomats. But nobody knew what humanity wanted. Among the council members sat a quiet old woman with silver skin and glowing blue eyes. Dr. Mayra Solon. A historian, a scientist, and the last living expert on ancient Earth technology. For years she had been ignored, her warnings dismissed, her research called nonsense. But today, every eye turned toward her. She stood slowly, her voice soft but steady. "I studied the last messages from old Earth," she said. "Humanity did not die." Gasps filled the room. "They built something," she continued. "A final project called Black Horizon." The name echoed through the chamber like thunder. Black Horizon was a myth, a bedtime story told to scare young cadets. A tale of humans building a warship so powerful that the galaxy banned the research forever. But it was real. And the ship in the nebula matched every detail. Dr. Mayra explained the truth. Humans built a vessel capable of surviving the violent regions between galaxies. A ship that could cloak perfectly. A ship that would awaken only when it sensed danger. The last message from Earth said humanity was leaving, not dying. They vanished into the cosmic dark with their warship fleet, leaving the galaxy to recover from its own wars. But why return now? Someone asked. Mayra closed her eyes. Because the galaxy has grown violent again, she said. And they must have sensed it. While the council debated, Rethail reviewed the fleet data. He noticed something terrifying. As the human vessel decloaked, it was only at 2% power. 2%. Meaning the ship they saw was not fully awake. Not even close. If 2% could terrify entire armadas, what would 100% look like? Suddenly a technician shouted from the chamber balcony. "We are receiving a transmission." Everyone turned. The air thickened. The screens flickered with static. A low, deep voice spoke. Not robotic, not alien, but human. "Galactic Council, you are approaching restricted space." The voice was calm in a way that made the room colder. "You will not be harmed, unless you repeat your mistake." Silence stunned the chamber. Then the voice changed, becoming more mechanical, like an artificial intelligence struggling to speak. "Human presence returning. Do not interfere." The transmission cut off without warning. Rethail felt his blood freeze. That voice did not sound like a normal human. It sounded like a guardian, a sentinel. Maybe the ship itself was speaking. The council speaker demanded answers. "Why would humanity threaten us?" he yelled. Mayra replied softly. "Humans never threatened without reason. If they warned us, it means someone has already angered them." At that moment, a new report arrived from the outer fringe. Several arrogant empires, ignoring the council orders, had sent their own fleets to claim the human ship, to capture it, or to destroy it. They believed a sleeping ship would be easy prey. They believed their armies were unstoppable. They believed humanity was just a myth. Rethail slammed his hands on the table. "Fools," he whispered. "They will wake the ghost fully." The council sent recall messages, warnings, threats of punishment. But those empires refused to listen. Their warships closed in on the nebula, weapons ready. They believed they were hunters. Yet they did not know the truth. The thing inside the nebula had hunted death worlds. It had survived solar storms, black voids, and cosmic horrors. It had been built by the most feared species in galactic history. It was not sleeping. It was waiting. And now, thanks to their arrogance, it began to wake. Across the nebula, a deep vibration shook the region. Lights rippled through the cosmic dust. The human vessel's outline appeared again, this time clearer, stronger, and far more alive. The ancient warship was rising. And the price of disturbing it was about to be paid. The nebula glowed like a living storm. The colors shifted, purple to red, red to white, white to a deep hungry black. Every sensor in the region began to fail. Every scanner turned to static. Every ship's crew felt the same cold fear rising in their hearts. The arrogant empires had arrived first. Their warships formed a massive ring around the nebula, weapons charged, shields at full power, soldiers ready for glory. They believed they could capture the mysterious vessel and claim its technology. They believed humanity's return was a chance to gain power. They believed their fleets were unbeatable. But belief meant nothing in front of what they had awakened. Inside the nebula, something ancient began to move. A pulse traveled through the void. Then another pulse, stronger this time. Then a third, loud enough to make nearby ships shake. The alien commanders shouted orders, trying to keep formation. But the crews felt something wrong. Something heavy. Something watching them. The nebula tore open like a wound in space. A massive shape pushed through the swirling clouds, hidden only by a thin veil of light. Then the veil collapsed. The darkness peeled away. And the human warship fully decloaked at last. For the first time, the galaxy saw its true form. A monstrous vessel of black metal, stretching nearly 10 kilometers long. Armored plates thicker than a city wall, glowing veins of blue-white energy running along the hull. Its silhouette looked like a predator made of steel and thunder. And on the front, like a warning carved into the universe itself, the red skull emblem burned as bright as a dying star. All 8 alien fleets froze. Every soldier felt their breath stop. Every captain felt their courage drain away. No one expected the ship to be this big, this powerful, this alive. The human vessel emitted a deep rumbling sound, like a sleeping giant finally stretching after centuries of rest. The sound traveled through the void and struck every ship like a shockwave, shaking hulls, cracking windows, and making entire crews drop to their knees. Then a voice spoke again, deeper and clearer this time. Foreign vessels, you have violated human protocol. The fleets panicked, shouting, moving, trying to escape formation. But the human ship lowered its front cannons, massive barrels glowing with white fire. The alien commanders screamed orders to fire first. The first beam hit the human hull. A direct shot with enough energy to melt a moon. But the human armor absorbed it like it was nothing more than warm sunlight. The second fleet launched missiles. Hundreds of them. They detonated before even reaching the hull, vaporized by invisible energy fields. The alien fleets realized the truth too late. Their weapons were useless. Their shields were toys. Their numbers meant nothing. The human warship spoke again. Warning ignored, retaliation authorized. All hell broke loose. From the sides of the human vessel, giant energy lances burst outward, tearing through ships like paper. One blast cut an entire battleship in half. Another turned a cruiser into dust. Another vaporized an entire formation of 20 fighters. The nebula lit up with fire and ash. The void burned bright like a sun exploding. Some alien ships tried to retreat. Some begged for mercy. Some attempted to hide behind asteroids. But the warship saw everything. It tracked every movement, every engine, every heat signature, and struck with perfect precision, one shot for each fleeing target. Within minutes, the 8 fleets became drifting wreckage. Broken metal floated in the void like burnt leaves. Bodies and debris scattered across the nebula. Only a handful of ships survived. Their crews shaking, crying, unable to speak. But the human ship did not destroy them. No, it left survivors intentionally. A message needed witnesses. Fear needed a voice. And the galaxy needed to understand the danger it had ignored. The survivors received a final transmission. The voice calm, cold, and without emotion. Humanity does not seek war, but we do not forgive arrogance. The transmission ended with a single chilling line. Carry this warning, or share their fate. The surviving captains fled, engines overheating, hearts racing, desperate to escape the region before the warship changed its mind. They spread across the galaxy like frightened children, telling every world, every government, every corner of space what they had seen. A human warship, ancient and unstoppable, had awakened, and it had crushed 8 armadas effortlessly. When their stories reached the council, silence filled the chamber. Even the loudest voices found no courage to speak. Rethail stared at the table with horror. Dr. Myra Solon closed her eyes, whispering, "It was only defending itself, and still it destroyed thousands." The council speaker trembled. "If that is the power of one ship, what happens if there are more?" The question echoed through the room. No one had the answer. But far away, deep inside the nebula, the human warship dimmed its weapons and turned slowly toward a new vector. Lights along its hull shifted like a living heartbeat. Systems awakened one by one. Something inside the ship stirred. Something human. Something old. Something returning. The galaxy had made a terrible mistake. And the true price of arrogance was only beginning. The galaxy fell into trembling silence after the destruction of the 8 fleets. No one dared send another attack force. No one dared approach the nebula again. Everyone waited, afraid of what the human warship would do next. Inside the council chamber, fear thickened the air like smoke. Delegates whispered among themselves. Some wanted to surrender immediately to humanity. Some wanted to run and hide. Some wanted to erase the incident from the official records. But none of these ideas brought comfort. The galaxy had awakened something they did not understand. And now the unknown hung above them like a shadow. Commander Rethail stood alone near the center podium. His voice was calm, but his eyes showed the truth. He had seen death too closely. "We cannot treat this ship like any other threat," he said. "It is ancient, powerful, and built by humans for a reason we still do not know." The room listened, unable to argue. Dr. Myra Solon stepped forward next. She looked older than before, tired from carrying a truth she had hidden for decades. She activated a hologram, an old, grainy recording from human archives. It showed human engineers working on a massive structure that looked similar to the ship in the nebula. "Project Black Horizon," Myra said quietly. "The last creation before humans vanished from known space." The room watched in awe. The recording showed humans in armored suits, welding gigantic plates of black metal, testing energy systems, and assembling weapons never seen before. Then it showed something even stranger. Humans entering stasis pods, their bodies freezing, their minds linked directly to the ship's core. Rethail stepped closer, shocked. "Are you saying the warship has a human on board?" Myra nodded slowly. "Not just a human," she said. "A commander." The chamber erupted in panic again. If a human commander was alive inside that warship, then everything that happened, the warning, the destruction, the message, was not random. It was controlled, planned, delivered with intention. But Myra raised her hand and spoke again. "We must talk to the ship." This idea froze the room. Talk to it? Communicate with something that destroyed thousands in minutes? Something that carried the strength of a forgotten species. But Rethail agreed. "We have no other choice," he said. "If humanity has returned, we must understand their purpose." And so, a small diplomatic vessel was prepared. It was unarmed, fragile, and carried only 3 passengers, Rethail, Myra, and a young translator named Jorin. As the ship approached the nebula, fear gripped them. Every sensor was blind. Every instrument failed. But the human warship sensed them immediately. A cold voice echoed through their speakers. "Unidentified vessel, state your purpose." Rethail took a deep breath. "We come in peace," he said. "We seek understanding." There was a long silence. Then the human warship decloaked again, slowly this time. Not in anger. Not in warning. But in acknowledgement. The vessel opened a massive hangar bay. The diplomatic ship drifted inside like a dust particle entering a mountain. When they landed, the bay doors closed behind them with a sound like rolling thunder. Inside the warship, the lights were dim and blue. The air was heavy. The hallways looked ancient yet perfect. No dust, no damage, no sign of age. As if the ship had been frozen in time. Waiting. Watching. They walked through the corridor until a large door hissed open. Inside was a chamber filled with stasis pods. Most were empty. But one pod still glowed faintly. And inside it, a human man slept, his face calm and strong. Myra gasped. That is Commander Elias Ward," she whispered. "The last leader of Project Black Horizon." Before they could approach the pod, a deeper voice filled the chamber. Not from speakers. From everywhere. "I am Sentinel Unit 7, Guardian of the Black Horizon," the voice said. The 3 visitors stiffened in fear. The ship was speaking to them directly. Its tone calm but heavy with centuries of duty. Rethail stepped forward respectfully. "Why have you returned?" he asked. "Why awaken now?" The AI answered without hesitation. "For 2 centuries humanity slept, watching the galaxy from afar. Rethail and Myra exchanged a shocked look. "You were watching us?" Myra asked softly. "Yes," the AI replied. "Humans left because they sought peace, but they feared what the galaxy might become." Its voice darkened. "Arrogance, corruption, violence, these signs have appeared again." Rethail swallowed hard. "So you came to judge us?" "Not judge," the AI corrected. "Protect, but only when protection is deserved." Myra stepped forward, her voice breaking. "There are innocent worlds," she said. "Peaceful people who do not want war." The AI went silent for a moment. Then it spoke again. "Show me." Rethail realized what the AI wanted. Proof. Evidence that not all of the galaxy had fallen into cruelty. Evidence that there were still people worth saving. He nodded slowly. "We will show you," he said. "But please, no more destruction." The AI's lights dimmed slightly. A sign of thought. Or hesitation. Or perhaps hope. "Convince me," the ship finally said. "Then humanity will decide its next move." And with those words, the warship's engines began to glow. Not in anger, but in preparation. Humanity was truly awakening. And the galaxy's future now depended on the actions of a few brave souls. The human warship was awake now. Not fully, not completely, but awake enough to shake the galaxy with every pulse of its engines. Its armor glowed with soft blue light, its cannons rested but alive, and its massive hull drifted through the nebula like a silent titan made of steel. The diplomatic vessel carrying Rethail, Myra, and Jorin stayed close, guided by the ship's AI, Sentinel Unit 7. The AI watched everything. Every system in the galaxy. Every broadcast. Every fleet movement. It studied governments, empires, rebellions, kindness, cruelty, and war. It weighed every world as if deciding the value of the entire galaxy. Rethail knew they did not have much time. The council had already panicked. Some delegates wanted peace. Some wanted to beg. But others, especially the proud Central Empires, refused to bow to any species, even humans. Their pride had survived centuries and it blinded them again. They could not accept that a single human ship had defeated 8 fleets. They could not accept that the galaxy feared one vessel more than all their armies combined. And so they made the worst choice. They gathered a massive armada, over 2,000 ships from dozens of worlds, the largest fleet ever assembled since the Great Galactic War. They believed numbers would save them. They believed they could overwhelm the human warship. They believed arrogance could protect them. But arrogance had already killed thousands. Inside the warship, the AI sensed the incoming armada long before the first scout appeared. It opened a comm channel to the diplomatic craft, its voice deep and calm. "Your council approaches, with hostile intent." Rethail felt his stomach twist. "This is madness," he said. "They cannot defeat you." Myra whispered, "They refuse to learn, even after everything they saw." The AI spoke again. "I will warn them once, only once." The human warship decloaked in the middle of the nebula, shining like a black star. The galaxy's largest armada appeared around it, forming a giant ring of metal and firepower. Battleships, dreadnoughts, carriers, cruisers, every kind of war machine ever built. Their engines roared, their shields glowed, and their weapons aimed at the single human vessel. A message went out from the fleet's supreme admiral. "Unknown human craft, surrender immediately and power down all systems." His tone was confident, proud, almost mocking. The AI responded with a single sentence. "You are making a fatal mistake." The admiral laughed. "We outnumber you 2,000 to 1. The warship's lights dimmed. Its cannons did not rise. Its engines remained calm. But its voice grew colder. "You may have numbers, but you lack understanding." The admiral gave the order. "All ships, prepare to fire." Myra screamed into the comm channel. "Stop this, you fools, you will doom us all." But no one listened. The AI sent its final warning. "Hostile action detected, activating defensive protocol." Then Protocol Horizon awakened. The ship's core glowed with a blinding white light. Energy surged across the hull like lightning. The nebula shook. The void trembled. And every ship in the armada felt the same terror at the same time. The admiral shouted the order. "Fire." Thousands of beams, missiles, torpedoes, and plasma bolts shot toward the human vessel. A storm of destruction so powerful it could erase a planet. But before the weapons hit, the human warship opened something ancient and forgotten. A shield of pure gravitational force. A collapsing sphere of bending space. Weapons vanished inside it. Explosions folded into silence. Light curved and disappeared. The fleet never hit the ship. Not even once. And then the human vessel retaliated. Not with anger. Not with vengeance. But with absolute precision. Its cannons fired in slow, controlled pulses. Each pulse destroyed only the hostile ships. Each shot hit exactly one target. No more. No less. In minutes, entire formations disintegrated into ash. Massive dreadnoughts cracked open like eggs. Cruisers shattered into dust. Carriers burned like falling suns. The void turned red. The nebula turned white. And silence returned. The survivors, less than 100 ships, fled in every direction. Broken in spirit, shaking in fear. A generation of soldiers watched the strongest armada in galactic history burn in front of them. All because their leaders refused to listen. Inside the human warship, the AI spoke again to Rethail and Myra. The choice has been made. Myra's voice trembled. Are you going to destroy the galaxy? The AI paused, then answered softly. No. Rethail exhaled with relief. But the AI was not finished. Humanity will return soon. The council must prepare. Myra stepped forward, hope trembling in her voice. For peace, she asked. For guidance. The AI responded with a tone that felt almost human. Humans do not return for war. They return to see if the galaxy has learned from its mistakes. The warship began to power down again, slipping back toward the nebula. Its cannons dimmed, its engines quieted, its massive hull fading into the cosmic fog. Before it vanished completely, the AI sent one final message across the galaxy. A message every world heard. Every empire feared. Every child memorized. The price of arrogance has been paid. Now choose your future wisely. The human warship disappeared, leaving the galaxy frozen in silence. Terrified, humbled, and forever changed. And somewhere deep within the nebula, the human commander slept on, waiting for the day humanity would rise again.